green ones would protect the seed quite as well. Ah, now we come to a secret well worth knowing. Look at the 2 primrose flowers, 1 and 2, figure 43, page 163, and tell me how you think the dust gets onto the top of the sticky knob or stigma. Number 2 seems easy enough to explain, for it looks as if the pollen could fall down easily from the stamens onto the knob. But it cannot fall up, as it would have to do in number 1. Now the curious truth is, as Mr. Darwin has shown, that neither of these flowers can get the dust easily for themselves, but of the 2, number 1 has the least difficulty. Look at a withered primrose and see how it holds its head down, and after a little while the yellow crown falls off. It is just about as it is falling that the anthers or bags of stamens burst open, and then in number 1, figure 44, they are dragged over the knob and some of the grains stick there. But in the other form of primrose, number 2, when the flower falls off the stamens do not come near the knob, so it has no chance of getting any pollen. And while the primrose is upright, the tube is so narrow that the dust does not easily fall. But as I have said, neither kind gets it very easily, nor is it good for them if they do. The seeds are much stronger and better if the dust or pollen of one flower is carried away and left on the knob or stigma of another flower, and the only way this can be done is by insects flying from one flower to another and carrying the dust on their legs and bodies. If you suck the end of the tube of the primrose flower, you will find it tastes sweet, because a drop of honey has been lying there. When the insects go in to get this honey, they brush themselves against the yellow dust bags, and some of the dust sticks to them, and then when they go to the next flower, they rub it off onto its sticky knob. Look at number 1 and number 2, figure 43, and you will see at once that if an insect goes into number 1 and the pollen sticks to him, when he goes into number 2, just that part of his body on which the pollen is will touch the knob, and so the flowers become what we call crossed. That is, the pollen dust of the one feeds the ovule of the other. And just the same thing will happen if he flies from number 2 to number 1. There the dust will be just in the position to touch the knob which sticks out of the flower. Therefore we can see clearly that it is good for the primrose that bees and other insects should come to it, and anything it can do to entice them will be useful. Now do you not think that when an insect once knew that the pale yellow crowns showed where honey was to be found, he would soon spy these crowns out as he flew along? Or if they were behind a hedge and he could not see them, would not the sweet scent tell him where to come and look for them? And so we see that the pretty sweet-scented corolla is not only delightful for us to look at and to smell, but it is really very useful in helping the primrose to make strong healthy seeds out of which the young plants are to grow next year. And now let us see what we have learnt. We began with a tiny seed, though we did not then know how this seed had been made. We saw the plantlet buried in it, and learnt how it fed at first on prepared food, but soon began to make living matter for itself out of gases taken from the water through the cells to its stomach, the leaves, and how marvellously the sun waves entering there formed the little green granules and then helped them to make food and living protoplasm. At this point we might have gone further and studied how the fibres and all the different vessels of the plant are formed, and a wondrous history it would have been. But it was too long for 1 hour's lecture, and you must read it for yourselves in books on botany. We had to pass on to the flower, and learn the use of the covering leaves, the gaily coloured crown attracting the insects, the dust bags holding the pollen, the little ovules each with the germ of a new plantlet lying hidden in the seed vessel, waiting for the pollen grains to grow down to them. Lastly, when the pollen crept in at the tiny opening, we learnt that the ovule had now all it wanted to grow into a perfect seed. And so we came back to a primrose seed, the point from which we started, and we have a history of our primrose from its birth to the day when its leaves and flowers wither away and it dies down for the winter. But what fairies are there which have been at work here? First, the busy little fairy Life in the active protoplasm, and secondly, the sun waves. We have seen that it was by the help of the sunbeams that the green granules were made, and the water, carbonic acid, and nitrogen worked up into the living plant. And in doing this work the sun waves were caught and their strength used up, so that they could no longer quiver back into space. But are they gone for ever? So long as the leaves or the stem or the root of the plant remain, they are gone, but when those are destroyed we can get them back again. Take a handful of dry withered plants and light them with a match. Then as the leaves burn and are turned back again to carbonic acid, nitrogen, and water, our sunbeams come back again in the flame and heat. And the life of the plant? What is it, and why is this protoplasm always active and busy? I cannot tell you. Study as we may, the life of the tiny plant is as much a mystery as your life and mine. It came, like all things, from the bosom of the Great Father, but we cannot tell how it came, nor what it is. We can see the active grains moving under the microscope, but we cannot see the power that moves them. We only know it is a power given to the plant, as to you and to me, to enable it to live its life and to do its useful work in the world. End of Lecture 7. Recording by Ruth Golding.